you stand for the flag, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just make sure your phones are turned off or on silent. I'm assuming because I don't have your sheet and there's no one in here that doesn't have to be here. There's no public forum. Okay, we'll move on to see the minutes of the reorg and the regular meeting for July 1st. Kaiser, a second by Mrs. Allen. Any questions, corrections to that? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, moving on. Please the board to take all the financial reports together. A motion by Mrs. Allen and a second by Mrs. Ecker. Any questions on this group? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Consent agenda. Mrs. Kaiser?
E1 through 6.
I have a second for that. Mrs. Damon? Okay, before we go any further though, I think we have an appointment that we'd like to say hello to.
Certainly. E22, Dr. Maggie Bristol is here with us through our interview process. We have welcomed on board Maggie as our assistant principal for us, so it's important that she would be here so we could say hello and congratulations to her. So just now you can see a name and a face. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
She's has dove right in and has gone to our retreat and has gotten busy this week just trying to get acclimated and everything situated. It's very helpful to bring an administrator on kind of early in the summer so that we can get up to speed and everything. So welcome aboard, Maggie, and looking forward to working with her here. So.
Same. Very happy to be here.
You don't have to jump in the pot if anyone tries.
No. Well, you know, I was asking about,
There was no
agree.
like, what do you call it?
initiation.
Type thing. We don't believe it.
Sure, not the top.
Well, I was really interested in the ball of duct tape that was in the corner of the office, and apparently someone did get taped to a wall. So I was like, well, that's all right. We'll have a good time.
I feel like I didn't see that in any of your report updates.
That didn't make it in.
Mr. Brown, if you wouldn't mind, we also have, I believe, a resignation for retirement.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys clear on?
Correct. So in our resignation, unfortunately, we received a resignation for purposes of retirement, E31. And Danielle, can you just give us a quick?
Yeah, so Mike has been here with us for a very long time. Always, of course, sad to see someone retire, but we've had a little over 30 years of service with the district. It makes it a little easier. You know, he's been here for a very long time in a number of roles and has done fantastic work for the district, particularly in keeping our baseball fields in good shape for our students to play on. So we wish him the best and certainly hope to see him in the future. He has offered to help us as a substitute, so we won't be saying goodbye, just so long for now.
Yeah, Mike's a workhorse. In addition to baseball, of course, he was a soccer player for us and takes care of those fields like they're his own. So wish him well in his retirement and happy to bring him back.
Nobody ever really retires.
That is correct. That is correct. You can't get away from us. So.
We always talk a little bit about the teachers too. If anybody that doesn't know Mike, he's about the most smiley guy. He always has a huge smile on his face. It's fantastic. So he always makes me happy when I meet him on the road. So glad he's coming back.
Yes.
Was there anything else for the consent agenda? All right, when you're ready.
Mrs. Decker? Mr. Joyce?
Yes.
Mrs. Dingman?
Yes.
Mrs. Kaiser, Mrs. Allen, and Mrs. Madigan.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to new business.
Let's make a motion F 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. And a second, please. Mrs. Allen? Did you hear Mrs. Allen first? I didn't say her name, I'm sorry. Okay, any questions?
Just two comments. I know Mr. Gaffney's not here, but Ms. Davini is, and I heard so much positive feedback from the Operation Graduation, sorry, I blinked on the name. So, I know we made some changes to it this year, so I'm super pleased with what I've heard from the students on it. And also in Ms. Davini's update with some of our grades, it's nice to see a steady incline across the board in pretty much all of our classes. So I know it's a lot of hard work for Ms. Davini and her team and the MTSS team and teachers and
Mrs.
Are
Decker?
you under administrative reports?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for letting me finish.
We're letting you go with it. You keep running.
So first I was like, is she talking about policy?
I was wondering if I was confused.
Yeah.
It's typical.
No.
But I was like, wait a minute.
No, it was good.
And then I had to pull it up because I was like, did we just dissolve Operation Graduation? But those are all really nice comments. Thank you for adding them. Was there any questions about what we're voting on?
No.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Okay. Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kaiser,
Yes.
Mrs. Dingman,
Absolutely.
Mr. Joyce,
Yes.
and Mrs. Decker,
Yes.
and Mrs. Madigan.
Yes. So for administrative reports, if you're watching, you could just rewind for like a minute ago. Mrs. Decker had some nice comments to make, so thank you for that. Any other questions, comments about administrative reports? Okay, Mr. Bannerman, if you wanted to.
Yeah, I would just like to piggyback a little bit on Mrs. Decker. Our team really rallied together on Operation Graduation, and thankfully everybody kind of had the spirit of helping out, and you can see some great pictures. Kind of revived it a little bit this year. We were able to bring some people back into the fold that were instrumental, their family was instrumental in the creation of Operation Graduation years and years ago. We got tremendous amount of donation support, so it's great to see something like that continuing for our exiting seniors. It's kind of a last hurrah, so to speak. So I did pull out kind of, I know Mrs. Davini put in her report a lot of this AP and Regents data. It's rough in the sense that we just recently, it's new. We just received like our AP data just recently came to be released. But again, I'd like to point out some pieces of pride. The total amount of students that we have taking AP exams more than doubled. Kind of from our highest watermark in the last 3 or 4 years. And again, the quantity of exams that our kids are taking, 88 total exams this year, again, more than doubles the total amount of exams that our kids.
Almost tripled, actually.
Yeah, so it's not just about the passing scores, it's about exposing our students to rigorous curriculum and setting those high standards for our students to become critical thinkers and to earn opportunities for exams. Of course, our passing rate is still higher than most of our passing rates anyway, even though we've more than doubled our total enrollment. So I think, kudos to our teachers and our students for buckling down and taking the harder path, and we should be proud of the amount that we can offer, those classes that we can offer at this school. Same thing with our Regents data. I did want to point out, some of these exams are new on a rotating basis. New York State updates some of our Regents exams. This year was Earth Science and Living Environment with some new tests and some new exams. But again, I think if you look at our passing rate this year, 76% cumulative, compared compared to the region, our county, and our 5-year cohort here at Red Creek, we're showing improvement. Are we there yet completely? Of course not. Room to grow. We didn't offer physics exam this year, so that's why it's an NA. I thought it was important for us to also highlight our mastery rate. I think there's opportunities there for us to continue to grow a little bit and to address some of our mastery rates. They're still higher than what they've been for the 5-year average, but in that same spirit of the AP exam, pushing students, exposing them to rigorous curriculum and striving for higher academic results, I think that kind of matches. We'd like to continue to push that mastery rate. But it was important for me and for us to show the board and the community what some of these numbers, at least preliminarily, are. I know it's been a topic of discussion for us, just bringing data out. So I think the first step in that is just making it public and making everybody aware of what it is, as we continue to go. So we don't have attendance and enrollment data. I thought this was very relevant to bring forward. So if you had any questions, I'd take them. But good start.
Thank you. Any questions? We're a little bit less than a quarter, so I think I'm shrinking. Okay, we're gonna move on to committees, because this was something that we had left open from the reorg meeting, which I know that we were kind of in a rush to kind of get through a lot of stuff last time. So it was nice to, thank you, by the way, to update what we had already decided on from the last meeting. So it looked accurate to me, to my notes. I'm gonna kind of open this up for discussion. The only thing I would say is that hopefully, I know there was some questions about how we were gonna move forward with these. Hopefully everyone understands that there's an opportunity to be involved by asking questions and having discussion when there are committee updates or when we have things going on. So I don't know if anybody wants to start or had a change of heart about what they'd like to be involved in, or has maybe some ideas about how we can move forward and get this taken care of.
Did we have any policy?
We do have one option for policy, that if we couldn't get some people to either decide maybe this wasn't the year for them and change course, where we could keep the whole board as the policy, kind of like the audit committee, and we would simply meet quarterly prior to the regular board meeting. So we could do that. It would be an open meeting. It probably would not be as efficient with time with all 7 of us, but that is an option.
You don't necessarily have to have a meeting. We can all receive the updates.
Yep, that's absolutely true. As long as there's no discussion, then we can get them and approve them if they don't need. We did just get done with a full policy review, so this should be relatively,
Mostly done. I think there's three hanging out.
So it would be much less intense, is the best way I could say that, as far as what needs to be reviewed.
I'd be supportive of having the board as the policy committee.
Okay.
Sitting on the policy committee, I think what we did this year worked really well, at least from my perspective. We got through the whole review, which was a daunting task, but I feel like the 3 of us that are on it are function pretty well at this point as a team. I'm not sure, Nancy, did you want to stay on it, or?
Well, I indicated I would be on any committee.
Okay.
I think the concern is there are more than 3 people that want to be on that.
Right. So I guess Kate had asked what thoughts were, if we wanted to keep it at just the 3, if it would be the same 3, if anyone would like to not do it. I would like to stay on it. I think it worked well as 3 because we could kind of get through things and have discussion and bring different perspectives, but it's just my thought.
Okay.
I am not looking at a policy committee personally unless we do it as a,
I think we're gonna start a board meeting with that, so.
So let me change my comment from earlier. If we can't come to a decision for only 3 people to be on it, that looks like what we're gonna need to do to move forward, so. Yeah, because I don't,
So how that would look is the policies would go on the board docs, we would review them.
it would be basically the same thing that we're doing now, but there would be no policy committee to meet separately the way they have been.
And then
You're
if there
still
was-
seeing the policies
And then if there was discussion about one, it would just be
now.
like in this meeting, which I feel like we kind of already do if there's a hot topic policy. Right?
Yes.
I think that there's lots of discussion that's had before it gets here though. And I don't know, maybe Mr. Vanderman wants to weigh in about what he thinks is beneficial or not beneficial, but I think that like the 4 perspectives together, we get the policy pretty shiny before it hits the board agenda. Which I think it would be time consuming if we put it as the whole board.
I definitely think, and don't let my comment take away from, I would agree with that, but I think, to be fair, if we can't come together as the same 3 people to be part of it, there needs to be some sort of adjustment, because, we could vote on who would be on the committees, but I think that that's awkward, and I don't really wanna do that.
Who
So,
wants to be on
I was just
policy?
going to
Like,
say
I
that.
don't remember Stephanie.
She
did not.
does.
everyone but you,
Oh.
so, there you go.
Well, is it overachieving? How-
It's literally everyone but you.
I don't know if her opinion has changed since last, but she's not here to weigh in on that or to weigh one side or the other of how she, because knowing what the suggestion is. So I don't know how we want to handle that when we're missing one person that wanted to be on that as well. Or just go with what was discussed last time of the 3 people that said that they wanted.
But did
So there's 6 people.
6
though,
people
that
say
said
last
that.
time they wanted?
Right.
Right, so that's, I did speak with her yesterday, I don't think anything has changed on her end, we obviously weren't able to have a discussion like this, because we weren't all together,
Right.
so.
Or the alternative, what if we tried it the 6th, and if it's not productive, it's clunky, what's to say we can't regroup and say, okay, this really needs to be streamlined differently and just change it, and there's nothing,
There's
written
nothing-
rule that we have to stick with it the whole year.
Correct.
We could do that and just see how it goes.
Nobody's getting mine
Not except for you.
Maybe it's because of the way I said everybody but you. Twice.
I am on 3 committees already. Or we could talk about the audit.
I'm probably willing to step down from policy, but I also feel like, is that gonna matter if my counterparts are willing to stay? So I don't know if that matters at this point, so I can go either way. I do agree and think it was more effective to kind of go through everything, but then again, there was a process to get through that
When you're trying to
project.
get through all of them.
Yeah, and so perhaps because that's in the past and moving forward, it won't be that laborious.
Right, is it like most of the policies are done, right? Like
About
how?
3.
3, and they're basically ready to, we discussed them, but we're just waiting on a little bit of feedback on
And then
those.
how does that work moving forward, like do more policies?
Yeah.
So we subscribe to Erie One, which is a policy service, and on a quarterly basis, Erie One sends me updates on recommended changes or required changes based on the information that might be contained in our policies. So all of our policies are aligned with Area 1 numbering system, those numbers, and then they would send us the legal information about, hey, this is why this needs to change. We have the autonomy to kind of review those policies and to see if that's practical. Does that fit our current structure here based on whatever it is? But generally speaking, those would come at a quarterly basis, so 4 times a year.
And then I think as a board, we would have to decide how we're going to keep up on the review that we just did, right? Because our goal was to review every 3 years, but not have to do it all in 1 year, right?
I think that would be a policy committee goal. I have absolutely no idea.
I guess as a policy committee, I think
Yeah.
that's what we had discussed, is that ideally we would be looking at them every 3 years. So we would start almost a cycle of which ones we're looking at which years.
The policy committee has been very focused on trying to get through that review, which Ms. Allen, I would use the same word, laborious, so that was the exact word that popped into my head. You know, I don't know what it looks like without the task. I don't know what our policy committee, because I'm unfamiliar, I haven't sat in this chair while a policy committee has existed without the task of getting up to compliance and our manual review, so.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say then we move forward with 7, and we'll take Mrs. Allen's idea. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What's that? Yeah, and we'll have another discussion about it and see where we are. All right? Okay, finance, from my notes, there were the 3 people that were on it from last year, and then apparently myself is the only other person that wanted to spend extra time with Danielle. So I'm okay with just stepping down with that in the committee. So the way the NISBA thing reads is that the people that are best for that group should be on there, and I feel like you're much better than I am. So if you're okay with that, I'm okay with taking your spot, but if you're not, it's up to you.
It's very educational.
I mean, I can sit down too, if you want to take it on, once I can jump on advocacy reviews.
You wanna swap? Is that what you're
Swap,
saying?
is what I'm saying.
All right, Chris, that's a deal. Okay, so that will be Madigan, Decker, and Dingman, please. Thank you. Never mind, Danielle. Okay. Collective bargaining. So, I only had one person interested in staying on that committee until we met. So, I'm looking for feedback on where we are on that one.
I think part of that decision was the community center advisory board decision, so.
Flopping.
Yeah.
We are.
Collective bargaining. Okay.
What does collective bargaining have to do with community center?
I think kind of saying if you swap over to the community center, which you had interest in, that would be for not on a committee, so she'd be interested in doing collective bargaining, like swap.
Oh, she would still be on 2 committees. I have concerns over the past few months after reading emails and comments that were just made last month or at the beginning of the month regarding the community center, and certainly what has been said and how it is inappropriate, and certainly wouldn't be conducive for collective bargaining, in my opinion.
If it's about being on a number of committees, I don't, personal opinion, I don't love changing that committee attendance if things aren't closed off, or aren't completed. And we still, I think it's important to keep that consistency. I would say that with whoever was sitting on that committee. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think that's.
Are you talking about collective bargaining?
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry.
So I would agree, if we're in the middle of contract negotiations, I think it would be difficult to switch. But not sitting on, I don't really know. Like, I don't know how easy it would be to make a switch. I think keeping that consistent makes sense right now, but that's just me.
So do we just keep things as is then for right now?
I'm only talking about the negotiations one. I can understand what your point is about flip-flopping for a number of committees, but for me, this is individual only because that participant is also locked into voting yes, since they were at the table for any sort of contract that comes back. Not saying that anyone else wouldn't, but I think that's important to keep the same people at the table until it closes.
So similarly, so I think you and I chatted a little bit about this, so the two committees that have voting abilities then are the two that we're actually talking about. Is that true, to your knowledge?
No, I don't think so. So or we're talking about two different things. So,
Okay.
my thought is that the person trying to walk this through, the Board of Education member that's involved in the negotiations is mandated to vote in favor of any contract that comes back to the board for approval. That is, to my knowledge, is not the same type of thing. I don't think there's any overlap like that for the community center that I'm aware of, because it's not the same type of committee, if that makes sense.
No, but that, I hear you, but that just might be my lack of knowledge about collective bargaining and how that works, so.
Okay, so that's the reason that I was saying that, is because that if we were to change that, no matter who the person was that was sitting here, now you're kind of throwing them in at the end, and I would be concerned about that consistency of seeing the same people at the table.
What are your thoughts of, since I've already been involved with the teachers this past year, and now we're going into mediation, I'll stay on that and then open the collective bargaining for the rest of the group. I mean, hopefully this will get settled.
Like you're saying, you sat on that committee as far as finishing a teacher contract, and then if somebody else jumped in, they would sit at the table for like whatever contract comes up next.
For this year.
What's the time frame on, I mean, I know we can't determine the current time frame of when that's ending, but is it typical that they open up back to back in the same school year?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
The contracts open up?
Like, I think you're asking like, will another contract need to start being negotiated within this calendar year?
People in this room, actually.
The next contract up after the teachers is the administrators.
So you could be I think if I'm understanding correctly, is that you would finish the teachers and then you would be the member for the RCAA group.
Can I ask a clarifying question that it's probably going to make me sound kind of naive, so please don't judge me, but I thought that the person who sat in on collective bargaining was just like a silent partner that was just kind of there listening and not giving any real input or opinion. So I guess I don't understand how changing that person would be an inconsistency, because we're not, like, Nancy's not giving her opinion or part of the negotiation, she's just sitting there as a board member listening.
So among the actual negotiations, but the board member is still part of the conversation when they talk on their own. So when they step out of the room and have a conversation with Danielle or the business official and the superintendent, Nancy would be part of that conversation.
So then if we were to,
Right.
and then if we were to change right now, then whatever comes out of this contract, Nancy and if it was Kim are required by law to vote yes.
No,
It,
I would not be.
it would be
because
whoever was,
I am no longer.
I think that's what you meant, like, her.
I was
for
saying
now,
because
and
she,
then-
well, no, I was asking, I was just thinking, if we switched, like, and Nancy got off that committee, would Nancy, because she was part of it up until, like, she was part of it when it opened.
could you support doing it that way?
I think so, and I think I shared at some point that, like, what I've read from NISBA is that when we're selecting committees, that if someone has specialized knowledge about something, and I'm paraphrasing, but it makes sense for that person to perhaps be involved in that committee. And so I think historically, that's really kind of where we landed. And to your point, like, it normally doesn't take, this long to kind of determine who's gonna do what. So with that said, I think we're just in this odd time of perceptions and not, so again, I'm willing to do whatever. If I use the community center, I'm passionate about it, that's why I originally wanted to be on that committee. But if Nancy would like to do that this year, then that's fine, and I can step in with the collective bargaining when that contract closes, that's fine. It's not, I don't want there to be any turmoil.
I think
Appreciate
that's probably a little too late, just based on the conversation that took place at the last meeting, and then reviewing the minutes and the letters that have taken place over the past few months. Publicly criticizing staff is inappropriate and potentially harmful. It's a personnel matter, and you open something wide up.
I did not criticize staff.
You absolutely did.
Okay.
So I think if we're willing to agree to that, though, that will solve this problem. Because I think everybody can, well, I say everybody, but fortunately, there's only 2 of you that volunteered for both of those committees. So if Nancy would see the RCTA contract through, Kim, you would pick it up for this year. And if you're willing to let Nancy take the community center role, then we'll put Nancy on that.
Sure. Can I throw a monkey wrench for a second? I feel like community center should probably be, I don't know who is a member or who uses a community center, but I feel like, I think every other person on that board is required to be a member. I don't know how
It's
this
not a requirement for this role.
Right, but maybe in an ideal world, it would be somebody who has a vested interest that's using it. So I don't know, like, I know that I use the community center and I get to, I would be willing to step into that too, unless Nancy has a strong passion for the community center, but.
No, I have a passion for doing what's right, and clearly, we have some issues going on at this level.
Is there allowed to be 2 people on the community center board?
So there used to be, well, it's not there used to be, there's an alternate that's typically put in that role, but we changed that a while ago where the first person would just contact a substitute, because that ends up kind of what happens anyway, because any of us could sub in if somebody couldn't make it. Unless this is like a hill to die on, I would say we could come to an agreement. Mrs. Decker.
My personal opinion is I know Nancy is really good at contracts, and I know Kim is really a strong advocate for the community center, so I feel like what would be best for both of those committees would leave things the way they are. I think Nancy's issue is more with the way something was handled and not necessarily the committee that we're sitting on. And so I feel like it's kind of silly to switch them when they're both pretty passionate about where they're sitting right now, but.
I appreciate your input. I think we should move forward where we are right now, because I think otherwise that this is, if the two of them can come to an agreement, then I'd like to move forward with it. Okay.
So,
I don't know how you're gonna write that first one
Okay.
down, so.
so, is it that Nancy will stay on collective bargaining and Kim will stay on community center?
No.
No.
Nancy will stay on collective bargaining for RCTA.
Okay.
And then Kim's
And
just the
then-
rep now, yes.
And now, and then Kim, for the year, will serve as the rep for collective bargaining.
You could just be
Oh.
creative in how you print that in
Oh,
that
so
section.
she's just finishing up, but you will also, so you're all year just finish RCTA?
Correct.
Okay. And then community center, are we sticking with Kim?
Nancy.
Oh, Nancy, so we did kind of flip, okay.
I'll take it if you want me to, it's up to you.
What?
What?
I'm taking.
Elizabeth's gonna go on community center.
Just really excited about being on top.
I think you are.
It's just like the audit committee for you.
Maybe a goal could be this not to be so challenging for next year.
I would love for everything not to be so challenging.
We'll write that down. All right, so,
Did you get that change, Amanda?
Yeah, so I just want to double check.
Please do.
Policy is everyone.
yes.
Finance would be Kate, so Mrs. Madigan, Mrs. Decker, and Mrs. Dingman.
No. Yes.
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 Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry,
Mr.
Chris.
Joyce is advocacy and BOCES. Collective bargaining is Mrs. Allen, but Mrs. Dingman will finish out the RCTA contract. Mrs. Decker will be community center. Okay. Mrs. Madigan, school safety, wellness, Mrs. Kaiser. Communications and community relations is Mrs. Kaiser and Mrs. Folds, and then everyone is audit.
And
Perfect.
PTA.
PTA is still Elizabeth, design professional development.
PD is.
Thank you. Okay, before we wrap this up, don't laugh. Couple of things. I'd like to make the suggestion that the committee updates are sent similar to the administrative reports. If we could send those ahead of time, this is just my suggestion. If you have them, that would give people an opportunity to read through it, ask questions, get some more information. I'd bring you back all to Mrs. Folds with, I want to say it was professional development, I don't know. She had an incredible amount of information to pass along for Mrs. Deviney, which we all were like, holy moly, that's a lot to process in 2 minutes. So this would give us an opportunity to kind of look through that and then possibly approach it the way we do for board packets. So if you had a question or you needed more information or just wanted to say, hey, kudos, good job, you'd have an opportunity to do that ahead of time. Could everybody get on board with that?
When are you thinking that we would need to have that like, submitted or emailed, or just, are you saying in general whenever there's an update, or do you want?
No, I would say the expectation would be the Friday, kind of the same time that Mr. Gorman sends out his reports, but only on a board meeting time. So we typically don't update outside of a board meeting. So if the board meeting's next on the 20th, it would come the Friday before. That would give everybody the weekend to take a look at it and go over it.
When does it need to get, is it the Wednesday before to make it to the packet?
By Friday. I think some of it would just kind of depend on each individual committee and when they were meeting, right? I think you would have to kind of take a look at when was the most recent meeting preceding the board meeting.
So if the meeting's on August 20th and the PTA's last meeting will be August 1st, then just send yours in, you know what I mean? And it would go out with regular packet.
PTA, it's in the summer.
I
just use that as a
Oh,
hypothetical.
don't write that down. Good morning.
I said that when I walked in.
I know. So I'm just thinking that maybe this would be a good idea. So if we could give that a try. Any questions, you know, let's talk about it, but I think it might work well for us. So a couple of things that are just still sitting out there. I didn't really get a lot of feedback on having a retreat this summer at a date or time determined. And then when I asked if there were different times that would work, because as you know, our original date was gonna be too late for NISBA to be able to come out. So I'd like some feedback on that, on what that looks like. We also need to pick a time or a format to do goal setting. So I could use some feedback on that. It's been in the last couple of emails. Goal setting potentially during the summer is typically when we would do it. So if you say good morning, I'm gonna
Which one, so
August 20th is the next meeting.
I mean, if we're gonna meet just to do board goals, do we just do it on August 20th, like before our meeting?
Well, my thought too would be to send out what we did for last year. I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel every time so that we can be prepared to do that, but I know summers are hard, so.
Another suggestion is that the former policy committee had a meeting scheduled on the 5th in the afternoon, so that if there were 4 of us that were already planning to be there anyway, does that afternoon work for everyone else as a possibility if we wanted to try to accomplish it before the 20th?
I will not be in town on the 5th, I'm sorry.
I would like to do a retreat. I have more free time in August than I did in July. July was a little tight for me, but I don't know if we're gonna throw dates out there for what to look for exactly, but I think it would be beneficial.
I am just kind of looking for some direction because when asked about new dates for the retreat, I only heard back from a couple of people, and not everyone's in favor of doing it, whether it's time constraints or what. So it's just challenging to plan something if I don't know what I'm working with. So.
What are the constraints? Could you remind us what the constraints are from NISBA on retreat options? Do they have constraints?
Half and whole day, right? Does that mean like time of day or hours?
Yeah.
So it's, like Kim said, half or a whole day. Obviously it's, needs to start, they need to be completed before 9 p.m. And it's at least a 4-hour block.
So, I mean, for me, meeting at 5 o'clock is not an issue, depending on the day, obviously. I am not in favor of doing it on weekend, especially in August. I also am not concerned, but I wanna make sure with, you know, finance and education is extremely tight right now. I don't want this to be not a waste of money, but like, where are we going with this? What are our topics before we spend money on this, in my opinion? Like, what are we going to accomplish that's going to help us move forward or do this job better? Because it's not cheap.
So, just to speak to that, well, we can set our own, so it's kind of like a build your own, if you want to, but, you know, again, I would say it's all in the implementation of us. I mean, we can meet 1,000 times if we're if we want to and pay for it, but are we going to, you know, what's going to benefit this group? So I would just say if we do that, to make the best use of that, cost, we need to be really particular on what will work.
I had sent, so as a suggestion, I sent a list of bulletin items.
Can you read the bulletin
Oh, I was gonna
items?
say, or like we can like talk about whether or not is this important to everybody, or is this a topic that everybody would want to include in, yeah, so the ones I had sent were team building, trust and conflict resolution, interpersonal relationships, board operations, board goal setting and execution, and then this may or may not be NISBA material, but create an activity calendar. So for example, like PD for ourselves, for the board and superintendent goals, like just some ancillary things that maybe are not cookie cutter NISBA retreat stuff.
So, I think you pulled up a lot of good topics when I read your list. I would say, you know, goal setting, actual doing it would have to be in public,
Right.
but we could go over the plan.
Mhm.
If all of those were important to everyone, I would say we need a full day, because that's quite a list to get through.
I'm not gonna do a weekend in August, so I'm gonna throw that out there, I'm just not. 0% is gonna do a weekend in August.
Can I add to the list, and I don't know if a retreat would be the appropriate time to do this, but, with the Parker graduate that just kind of is getting launched, I feel like that's gonna bring a lot of changes, and it might be helpful to know what, like, as a board, we need to know and need to do with procedures, so just another topic that we would want, like, toss out there.
Okay, why don't we start with, is the majority interested in doing a retreat?
Yeah. Yes.
No.
I'm torn because I feel like these are all, we can talk until we're blue in the face. I don't feel like wasting district money on things is gonna be helpful to us. I am interested in a portrait of a graduate, but I don't know as though we need, someone to facilitate that. I think we just need more information as it comes.
So we're 6 today, which would make things a little more challenging. I have not had a conversation with Mrs. Foltz on where she stands on this. I don't know if anyone else has.
Should we call her live?
No.
Would you not have a majority for that, Cole? I guess, the topics can be determined later for that, but, outside of that, is there a date that's going to work for everyone too? So, if Mrs. Kaiser would even say, yes, there's no weekends. So are we gonna be able to find, I think when school starts, that's gonna be really challenging after that for evenings. You know, we could split it up, in a couple of half days if we needed to, if that's what the board wants.
For me, if the majority vote when we do this, I feel like just doing it in one shot makes some more sense, instead of having someone from this come twice.
I think if you wanna do that, that's fine, but we would really have to hone in on a list, because there's just not enough time. Anybody that's been through these knows that even when the list is half of what you sent, we typically don't get through all of that, so, you know, that would have to be, something to consider.
Prioritize what needs to be accomplished.
Okay, so, anybody got some dates? We really can't commit to anything until we talk to Mrs. Foltz too, but if we could get a majority on the same page, that would be helpful.
I would propose that, I'm gonna give you the dates that I think I would be free, the 15th, 18th, 19th, or any day, so we could do the 25th.
You say any day except the 25th?
Any day of the week of the 25th.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't do the
Same
15th.
day.
So we just went right out, like,
If
Okay.
we do a weekday, can anybody be here earlier than 5?
Those days I could be, yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. Could you send an email that has what your availability is the 18th through the 29th of August, not weekends? We'll do the best we can if people can make it or not. 4 hours, potentially starting up till 3 o'clock, let's say, okay?
I'm sorry, repeat that. So starting at 3 or up to 3?
Starting at 3. So if you can make it 3 or after, it obviously has to be by 5.
Yep.
18th through the 29th, no weekends. And if you could email me by Monday, because we'd have to get something on a calendar with this, but if it's, that's the next step, is to see if somebody's available. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. Is it possible that we could meet, an hour early on the 20th to do goals, if we think that would take an hour?
Would we have a 6:30 start time?
Yes.
I'm here by 4.
I am here by 3:15. I think we're gonna move our board meeting. Is that on the table to move that meeting, because it's a summer meeting, up a little bit, or?
If we could move that up, that would be fine with me.
Or we're gonna move all board meetings up?
Oh, in an ideal world, but probably not once sports season's start up.
If it pleases the board, I'd still like to send out the stuff from last year, so you could start the conversation in your own head before.
Yes,
Is that okay? Okay. So I'm gonna say potentially 5:30 or 5 on the 20th.
We're not actually gonna do 3.
I don't know. Let's check with Folds
Okay.
and see if, could everyone else here do 3?
I'd be like 3:10.
I can't.
Everybody else do 3:30.
I get
On the
this
20th.
last year summer school, I did it at 3:45.
3:30, Nancy? You do 3:30 on the 20th? With the meeting to follow though, so we're not gonna talk about board goals for 2.5 hours.
Right.
3:30?
Mhm.
3:17?
And now I'm rolling at 3:30.
Okay, I'll get back to you on that. I'll send out the information from last year, see if we could make some small adaptations to that.
Yes.
It'll be board, district, and superintendent, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, anybody else got anything? Take a motion to adjourn, please.
No, sorry.
Do you have anything? Okay,
No.
Mrs. Kaiser, second. Damon, thank you. Maggie, nice to meet you.
Thank you.